Hey, this is Tom at Talent Guitar Works, and this is part two of the How to Get Your Band Booked video and How to Stay Booked. And the title of this one is Why Your Band Sucks Sonically. And like I said, I've run sound for over 20 years and worked at venues and bars and worked for bands. And your sound is the most important thing you bring besides your appearance to a gig. And you can kill yourself with your sound really easy. And I'm going to go over the top mistakes bands make, and bands wanting to be professional I've seen make this mistake. The number one mistake is we don't need to do a sound check. Okay, so now you're flying by the seat of your pants because every room is different. And I know the modern equipment, I'm going to get into this later, you could save a scene and you could plug that in. Well, that's great. That gives you a baseline. But if you don't do a sound check, especially if your sound man isn't controlling all of the instruments on the stage, let's say the bass is just running through his bass cab, he's not into the PA, you're going to have problems. So do a sound check. The sound check I always made the band do, and they probably hated me for it, but I didn't care, was to do the drums first. And miking drums, let's talk about this right off the bat. There are times to mic drums and there are times not to mic drums. If you're playing outdoors, mic them, definitely. Mic everything, because a little bit of wind starts blowing, you start losing the drums. If you're playing indoors and it's a big venue, you may want to put an overhead on there and run that in the channel separate from the drum channel, because you're picking up the cymbals and you don't want that running into the subwoofers. You want that running into the mains. And you want to mic the kick drum maybe to get that accentuation so you could get that out there. And again, that's going through your subwoofers. All right, the sound check builds from there, from the drums to add the bass, because these two guys have to be tied together at the hip, right? So have the drummer start playing something, and it could be a song that they don't play on that set list, but they know, and the bass player starts in. The bass player, you get him leveled out with the drums and balanced correctly, add the guitar player in, add the keyboard player in, and then add the vocalist in. Remember, all these instruments have to cradle the vocals. If you're playing over the vocals, the main thing that's going to happen is, one, the song's going to sound like shit. Two, you're killing your vocalist. He's got to strain, or she's got to strain to get up above that. Or the sound guy's got to push it. And then it doesn't have that balance. It sounds manufactured instead of natural. So do that sound check, cradle the vocals, and I'm going to go into this with when the vocals start, rhythm guitar players, roll back the volume a little bit. You don't have to blast through them. Every great song you listen to, the rhythm guitar player is rolling on and rolling off the volume so that those vocals come through. Respect the vocalist, give them their section. All right, the next thing I'm going to talk about, and this is one of my main pet peeves, and it's stage volume. Back in the 70s, there was no such thing as stage volume, really. Very few bar bands used monitors back then. Most of the instruments that were on stage were amplified. The only thing that was going through the PA was vocals anyway, and maybe the keyboards, and that was it. Now we have everything going through. You've got, sometimes you've got the bass going through a DI into the PA and coming out of the subs along with the drum kit. And then you've got the keyboards on channels and your guitars and your vocals. A game that gets played a lot with stage volume is, I can't hear me, so I'm turning up. This is a bad game, because this game gets passed along to the next person in the band. And it's contagious, and you will kill your vocals. You're going to kill everything eventually, because everybody is going to turn up incrementally to compensate for the first person that turned up. If you have a sound man, and a lot of bands don't need a sound man, they've got it wired tight. They know what they're supposed to sound like. They ask people in the audience, is it okay? And they don't touch anything, and they do just fine. If you do need a sound man, rely on him. How does it sound? Because I'll tell you right now, from being on stage and playing and being in the audience listening, those are two different environments, man. You cannot tell how you sound to the audience from the stage. Just can't do it. You can tell how you sound to the audience if you're out in the audience, which is another mistake I'm going to touch on real quick. If you're using a wireless transmitter and you're the guitar player and you want to go to the back of a 150-foot room with your guitar, expect a delay to come in between when you play and when it transmits. It happens. That's why a lot of guitar players don't do that anymore, because unless you have a very sophisticated transmitter receiver system, you're going to have a little bit of delay from what you're playing to what is getting broadcast out. And audibly, the audience picks up on it. So on to the next item. Know your environment. And your environment is how the room sounds or how the venue sounds. Concrete floors generally are live, wood floors are live, carpeted floors are dead. You go to the wall construction, wood frame walls, live concrete walls, echo chamber, metal roofs, you're in for a wild ride. Band sections that have low roofs over the stage, again, you're in for a wild ride because it's going to create some sonic problems for you that you're going to have to correct. And it's going to be more of a problem for the band on stage than it is for the audience, but you can get through those. The next thing I wanted to talk about was vocalists with lots of effects on their vocals. That's great. If you're going to talk between songs, tell your sound guy. He's got to kill all those effects or you're going to sound like you're speaking gibberish when you're talking to the audience. You have to keep that in mind as a vocalist. If you've got a ton of reverb or delay or compression, whatever you've got on your voice that you think you need or that you guys like, and I'm not going to tell you not to use it, it's got to be killed if you're just going to use your regular speaking voice to the audience, or else they're not going to understand a word you're saying. Which is cool if you're Ozzy Osbourne, but you're not. The next thing about this venue environment is, and it pertains more to the people working up north, because you can save a scene. Let's say you played a bar before and you're up north and you played the bar in the summer and now it's winter. Well, that 150 people just came in with 150 baffles that are going to absorb the sound, called winter jackets. The amount of clothes people wear, the amount of people in the venue is going to change your sound. When you do your sound checks, the bar is usually pretty much empty. This does give you a baseline to work with. And the sound guy, or if you're running it yourself, you know that, all right, right now we're here. If we add 50 people, we need to move up slightly. If we add another 50, a little bit more. And as the people start to leave, like third or fourth set, people have to get to work, they're heading out. Again, reverse the process, take it down. Now, try to keep your volume levels, unless you're a speed metal band playing at a venue that does all the loud shit, this video's not for you. If you're a cover band and you're out playing, always come out with a dB meter. Check the bar with your decibel meter first, find out what the ambient noise is in a room, and then check what your volume is about 6 feet away from the mains on each side. If you're over 102, you're in the danger zone. You're starting to piss people off. They can't hear each other speak. Wait staff, which I'm going to jump right into, is going to kill you. The wait staff, if they can't hear what the orders are and they start messing up and it starts affecting their tips or the amount of times people are ordering drinks, they're going to be the first ones chewing on the bar manager's ear about how bad your band sucks. All right. Another thing I've seen bands do is they want to tilt in their two mains on their PA. And I could see getting bounces off some walls and everything, but what you don't want to create is what I call a fatal funnel. That's where you point both PAs where they cross right in front of the main alley of where the wait staff is working. You're killing them right where that cross is. They can't hear shit. Um, Try to be kind to them and ask them, how does it sound? Now you're going to have the outliers that are always like, there was a little old lady that came up to me in a bar and told me while we were setting up and nothing was turned on that we were too loud. The guitars weren't even out yet. And I was like, we haven't even started yet, but you're too loud. We've never played here before, but you're too loud. That's the bar's music system. You need to go talk to them. And ironically, those people will sit right in front of your speakers. Now, demographic-wise, continuing on this is Southwest Florida. We get snowbirds, we get everybody. It used to be in the 70s, the only people that were going to see bands play out were probably in the 18, when it was legal to drink at 18, don't shoot me, to 25-year-old age group. And that's who was going to the bars. Now, these classic rock people like me are in their 60s and still going to the bars to listen to the bands. The volume levels need to be audible but articulate, and you have to allow, and I'm not talking about massive conversations, I'm talking about people need to be able to communicate while you're playing. You don't need to blast them into oblivion. A lot of people know the songs. The songs generally sound better. Now, there was a myth at one time for guitar players, and I'm going to attack them right now. I'm a guitar player. It used to be that you had to have a 40-watt amp minimum to get above the drummer. Bullshit, you don't. There are guys playing 5 and 15-watt amps and doing just fine. If your drummer's playing too dynamically for the size of the venue, you got to tell them. Guitar players, if you're saying, hey, this amp doesn't perform until I get up to about 7 or 8, get an attenuator. If you're looking for that breakup, get a Helix, get a Kemper, get something that's going to give you that same breakup at a lower volume level. You really don't need to blast everybody out to get your tone, because if it's too loud, they don't care what your tone is. They really don't. Let's see here. What's the next thing? I covered the demographics, I covered the sound thing. If you do have a sound guy, when I was running sound for the last band, especially I was running sound with, I went to every practice. Now I know there's a lot of sound guys going, oh, I don't have to go to every practice. Bullshit. If they're going to do something new and you don't know about it, you don't want to find out when they're playing live. It could be little adjustments to songs, it could be dead stops, it could be moving a solo someplace where you have to move up the volume on the solo, or you've got to drop back the volume, when the vocals come in, or you have to kill almost everything except the vocals if they're going to do, an a cappella dead stop on a song, and, you have to be on your toes. So knowing what to expect from them is a really good idea. Now, saving scenes. I talked about this briefly before. You could save a scene from your rehearsal space and you could plug it into the venue as a baseline, but keep in mind you're going to have to adjust that when you get there. If you play the same bar over and over again, you know the volume, once again, you got the baseline, save the scene, it's got all the settings there for you. Just make sure you got everybody in the right channels. Now, me personally, I use, a JBL 15-inch main with 18-inch subs on each side, and I use a Midas MR18 with a laptop to run it, and it's easy because it's less equipment. And I've been there. I've rolled stacks in for people. I've rolled racks of amplifiers in, and been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Why are you working so hard? If I'm putting out 2,000 watts a side, it's enough. It really is. And plus the monitors that are going to be running up there. So the last thing is, in-ear monitors, that's what I wanted to cover. A lot of bands like in-ear monitors. One of the progressive tools to using in-ear monitors is they always come with two earbuds, it seems. Take one of the earbuds out when you're getting used to them. Being in that sensory deprivation of just having both in-ear monitors, people get lost. If they still get the ambient noise in one ear, they're a little bit more balanced out. Either you all use them or none of you use them, because you can have lots of problems on those. Now, in-ear monitors also come with their own responsibility level. Is you control your volume of what you hear. You can't have the sound guy pushing your volume in your in-ear monitors. He doesn't know. You want to wreck an eardrum? That's a good way to start. So, keep in mind, use the equipment you have. If you've got really outdated equipment and you are the guys rolling those racks of equipment in, if it's working for you, that's fine, but somebody's breaking their pack and getting underpaid for it. By the time you roll all that in, roll it out, hour setup, hour tear down, and then you've got to go back and put it away after you load it up or leave it someplace. It's just too much. I could basically get all my stuff in with a hand cart in 2 trips, and it works. But once again, have a dB meter. Don't use your main or your monitors on stage as a second set of mains. Cradle the vocals. Be kind to the wait staff and be willing to listen to what they're telling you. And be aware of your venue, your environment in the venue, and what kind of room it is. If it's a live room or a dead room, or if you're playing outdoors. And outdoors is definitely the trickiest of all the venues, because you've got to be prepared for wind and everything else and inclement weather and all that. But anyway, this is Tom from Talon Guitar Works, and hopefully after this, your band won't suck sonically. So if you like the channel, subscribe to it. You leave comments, you can throw darts at me, all that stuff, I don't care. It doesn't matter. But hope you enjoyed it. Bye.